was attending college, there was an event I had to skip every year with my family because, well, I was busy getting my associate's degree in English. Until I graduated back in mid-2019, and I was finally able to go for once in my life. Until you know what happened in 2020. And after the nightmare that was that year, it was finally over, and it finally felt nice to see my family, and after such a long time, finally go on the long-awaited trip I've been wanting to go for years. Of course, with protective measures, obviously. If you're wondering what that trip was, is every year my family would actually rent a cabin in Lake Tahoe and go out and enjoy the snow. And the trip surprisingly went well and nobody got sick. For the most part. That trip also gave me a lot of nostalgic feelings about something I remembered from my past. And one of these things that reminded me of the snow was a specific video game series by the company Atlus. Now, when you mostly think of Atlus, nowadays you tend to think of the Shin Megami Tensei series, the Persona series, and sometimes Catherine, but who can blame you? But my history with Atlus comes from the Nintendo 64, where this franchise once started, and we're going to be looking back at the entire series. You know what series I'm talking about. The one and only Snowboard Kids! For those who've never really heard of the series, the first Snowboard Kids game, which we'll be looking at on the N64, released on December 12th of 1997. Though it was published by Atlus, I think the one who should be given the most credit is the developer, Resgen. This company was founded back in April 17th of 1995. They've actually made quite a plethora of party games over the years, including Bomberman Land, and Mario & Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games and the London 2012 Olympic Games, which are by far the best versions. And believe it or not, they're actually still around, though they make mobile games nowadays. So yeah. But of course, one of the things I know them for is the game Snowboard Kids. There's not really a plot to this franchise, it's just a bunch of kids who want to go snowboarding, with the first series introducing our main characters of the series, Slash, Nancy, Jam, Tommy, and Linda. And they are technically the only playable characters in the first game of the series. From the idea of snowboarding, obviously, it's a racing game, and a simple one at that, but it's easy to pick up, and it's difficult to master. Because all you have to do is race down a hill for a specific amount of laps, depending on the course. You can collect coins by finding them on the racetrack, or by doing special stunts, so you can actually use to get power-ups. There are two different types in the game, the red power-ups and the blue power-ups, which are used by two different buttons. The red power-ups are generally more for projectile-based items, but from my memory, you can only shoot them in front of you, while the blue power-ups are built for status effects, whether to boost yourself up, get yourself some more air, slow down your enemies, steal their coins. Though if you don't have any money, and if you run to a power-up, well, let's just show the footage and you'll find out.
Not enough!
But trust me, this will be a run killer. Normally this is one of the most competitive parts of the game, but the biggest part of the race, especially early on, is the ski lift. Do everything in your power to get on this ski lift first. It's probably one of the most unique and most devastating mechanics of this game. You have to align yourself perfectly to get on that ski lift, or make sure to get everyone out of your way so you can get on there first, depending on how fast you've gotten there. Though the game doesn't really have much in collectibles, it does have tons of different racetracks. Most of them are kind of snow-based until later in the game, though they have a lot of different styles to make them look very different, instead of looking fairly the same. Plus, they find ways to make each race downhill feel very different from every single track. And if you manage to win specific racetracks, you can also win currency. Even the currency that you currently do for tricks, any left over will be actually used to buy for the shop, which are used to actually buy new snowboards. And trust me, this is also another mandatory thing you need, as buying better snowboards will help you better yourself in certain races. Because there is a lot of problems I will generally have considering it is the first game in the series. Turning can be fairly off at times, as you can accidentally slow yourself down, or God forbid, you start snowboarding backwards. And that is a major problem considering the AI's rubber banding. For those who don't know, rubber banding is a type of term used in gaming where the AI has a specific speed so they can either catch up or when you fall behind. And that spells disastrous if you're trying to get first place, which is mandatory to technically beat the game. Because trust me, the AI's rubber banding can be downright cruel. Especially if you're up against a character like Tommy, who is the most weighted and tends to go downhill a lot faster. Another problem I do have with this game is the memory card system, as this was one of the few N64 games that didn't really have the built-in memory function, as you needed the N64 memory card. So every time I wanted to play this game, I had to do the bare minimal of what this game had to offer. But then again, that isn't much considering you do unlock more racetracks, including a few infamous difficult ones. some new, stronger, and cooler snowboards, which you can and design however you want, and are mandatory if you want to beat the whole game. And you also get a bonus character named Shinobin the Ninja, who is kind of out of a left field character, but trust me, the cast gets weirder from here. Snowboard Kids was the first experimental snowboard racing game built for multiplayer. Though it is one of those games that hasn't aged well, but I think it's a good recommendation if you're looking for a different type of racing game, and for a little more challenge. Now, as much as I want to talk about the sequels of the game, I do have to talk about a certain other version of the Snowboard Kids that a lot of people generally don't know actually exists. Released on July 21st of 1999 in Japan, Snowboard Kids Plus released on the PlayStation 1. Again, developed and published by Atlus and Rastion, this is technically the same game, though they did add a lot of different features. Some for better and some for worse, one of which is 4 additional characters, who go by Nicole, Pamela, Ruby, and another ninja, Kaede. And just so to add a little more awkwardness to this video, what if I told you every single character in this game is 10 years old? Yeah, good luck with that information. Well, obviously I haven't played this game, but there is tons of footage of it on YouTube. And from the information I've gathered, there are noteworthy problems with the game, such as it being more blockier than the original counterpart, which is an amazing thing to say considering the N64 was a lower level hardware. And it runs slower, which again, N64. Come on. And of course, the game is also bugged with loading screens. But hey, at least you get some really cool anime cutscenes and somewhat of a story mode. But the endings of the games differ depending on the character you actually choose. Out of all the Snowboard Kids games, this one has the most characters in the roster, with a total of 10 playable characters, including Shinobin, who also returns as an unlockable character. I do find it fascinating that this port actually exists, but it's not really worth trying to find, in all honesty, considering I'd rather play the original version, or better yet, the best version of this game, aka
Snowboard Kids 2!
On February 19th of 1999, Snowboard Kids 2 launched on the Nintendo 64. Of course, being a sequel, it's bigger, it's better, and oh boy, I love this version. To start things off, the game actually does have a story mode. Well, sort of. It actually has episodic stories, depending on which levels you go. Even the bonus stages have an episodic story in a way. And they're all wacky and fun, like a slice-of-life sports anime. The game actually does play similar to the original, but the quality of life improvements are here. Like, they did remove the mechanic where if you don't have enough money, you smack into the power-up dispenser. Instead, you just run through it with no problem. They also improved the trick system, which I highly say is better. And they did dumb down the AI a bit. But I think these improvements are great to make the game more available to new players, even though the game is somewhat of a sequel. Plus, there are tons of new unlockables and fun little secret games. There's just so much stuff that's been improved upon in this game. The weapons are more balanced, there's a better trick system, there's boss battles, which is apparently a thing in this racing game. What is this, Diddy Kong snowboarding? And there are also 4 new characters. Though you start off with a total of 6 characters, 5 of the original characters, and a new character Wendy, a mad scientist, and 3 unlockable characters. Coach the Blue Bird, who's obviously a penguin, Damon the Demon, who you actually see a lot during the story mode, and Mr. Dog, who I kind of forgot to mention is the shopkeeper in the first game, but has never really had a role besides being the shopkeeper, and he's a playable character. Of course, there is tons of customization on your snowboards and tons of secret boards, and characters get alternate outfits, but only in the multiplayer. Though Snowboard Kids is about snowboarding, this time around there are tons of different places besides snow. Even Linda's house, which might not seem much, but it's a freaking mansion, meaning Linda be loaded. There's a reason people highly recommend Snowboard Kids 2, because it just improves upon the game's balance, makes it easier for first-time players of the series, and it's just fun to play with friends. That's probably why it's regarded as one of the best ones of the series, because it is. And with that, I feel like that's the best way to end the Snowboard Kids look back and...
You think this is funny?
In a cosmic sort of way, yes.
Well, Mr. Funny Man, is this how you get your sick kicks?
What? It's just an ordinary crabby... Oh my goodness!
Snowboard Kids DS, aka SBK Snowboard Kids. Released on June 22nd of 2005. And yeah, not many people don't want to talk about this version, and there's understandable reasons why. For starters, the game was published by Atlus, Atlus USA, and Rising Star Games, who made the following games: Though this time around, the game was developed by Atlus and In-Glove Company Limited, which honestly I have no information about, so I don't really know anything about this company. If you have any information on these guys, leave them down in the comments if you know. A Snowboard Kids game for the Nintendo DS sounds like a great idea. It's a shame that Atlus had to ruin it. Obviously, one of the biggest reasons we have to look at is the character design. These are not kids, these are anime teenagers. Now, the reason why the characters are no longer cartoonish, mostly because they were designed by... and Atlus probably wanted to go with an anime-esque design to go with the IPs like Shin Megami Tensei and Persona, hence why Jack Frost is also playable in the game, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Oh, who am I kidding? I should talk about the secret characters. Honestly, I haven't unlocked them, nor do I actually care to unlock them. One of which is Max the Penguin, who is not Coach, apparently. And you can also have Jack Frost and Black Frost, as Jack Frost is somewhat of a mascot of the Shin Megami Tensei. Not to mention, they definitely changed a lot of the characters' personalities, which I really don't like. Slash looks like Ty from Digimon. Nancy has become a cold-hearted person. Tommy has more gains, is probably the most broken character in this game. Jam is pretty Jamaican, and Linda was replaced by a character named Brad, who is somewhat related to Linda, but why didn't they just add Linda? There's only 2 female characters in this game. Not to mention the power-up system is very weird, as a lot of characters have special weapons, and of course you have weapons that are used for in-game. Nancy has the freezing item, which was exclusive as a projectile weapon. Brad has one of the worst weapons, considering all it does is just make you wobble. And Tommy has one of the most broken abilities, considering that he gets 3 heat-seeking missiles that'll hunt anyone down. Trust me, it's a guaranteed win if you play as Tommy. Now, how's the game play in all honesty? Well, obviously as it looks, 3D graphics on a DS is plausible, but it's completely understandable why it doesn't look that great. I mean, the racetracks in this game look fairly generic. At least with the N64 version, it had cartoon style. Heck, Mario 64 DS had more style than this. And one of my least favorite things about this game is the trick system. I mean, you can do tricks normally just like in the game, except they're very more jank as you tend to get spinning like crazy. But there's also touchscreen physics in them, as if you press specific touchscreen abilities, you can also do the tricks. But honestly, I recommend you don't bother, as sometimes when you do the tricks, 4 out of 5 times, you will wipe out. I swear I get more points just by button mashing the D-pad or specifically holding it in a specific pose to do certain spins. SBK is one of the most disappointing comebacks of the Snowboard Kids series that lost a lot of the charm as it suffered from what most remakes did during the mid-2000s, make them completely edgy. But with the changing up everything that made the original enjoyable, the fun cute character designs and the fun enjoyable layouts of the land, sadly, this is what killed the Snowboard Kids series. Though I don't want to end this video on a sad note. There might be some good news for the fans of the series. A YouTuber by the name of Artyomny made a couple of videos a while back on a fan concept for Snowboard Kids 3. Go check it out on his channel, Kuromaniac. Also, Fangamer is selling merchandise based on the IP, and with the Nintendo 64 games on Switch, maybe Snowboard Kids will be one of those titles to soon release on the platform. Whether they fix the N64 version, that is. The future may not be bleak for Snowboard Kids. Maybe someday we'll get to go snowboarding once again. And Atlus, if you're watching this, can we also get Persona 5 on the Nintendo Switch, please?